On the rundown for today's San Francisco 49ers report, we have some new Niners trade intel, getting to the latest trade buzz from Mike Silver around Brandon Aiyuk as well as Deebo Samuel. And what do you know? Anytime I talked about Deebo getting dealt this offseason, people would call me a fraud. They'd say ridiculous things about me and to me in the comment section on X, on YouTube, on Instagram. But what do you know? Deebo Samuel acknowledging that the trade buzz was, quote, a thing this offseason. He said this week during an interview for Mandatory Minicamp that he was aware of trade conversations this offseason. And Mike Silver reports a trade could still go down. Here's what Deebo had to say verbatim. Yeah, I heard the buzz. I had a conversation with my agent about it. They was going back and forth with whoever it was, meaning teams were talking. It was a thing at first, but we done moved past it, so we are here, and we're here to get better. We talk about trade rumors on this show because they are a thing. They are a story. I remember talking about the Niners' pursuit of Christian McCaffrey and the trade rumors around that. People said it was never going to happen. It happened. The receipts are there. I remember bringing up Chase Young's name as a trade candidate for San Francisco. People told me it was too expensive. Maybe you should just listen, subscribe to the show, because my goal is to inform the people when there's a report, when there's trade buzz, when there are rumors, especially pertaining to superstar players like Aiyuk and like Deebo. It's my job to talk about it here on the show, and there is a hit rate there. The history does show that. Trade rumors are a thing. Trade rumors are a story. Why is that? NFL executives talk. They make calls all the time. Shoot, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the 49ers called the Minnesota Vikings about a Justin Jefferson trade. They called a couple of years ago about an Aaron Rodgers trade, a Kirk Cousins trade. San Francisco is a very aggressive organization, going after external players and taking care of their own players. And I see the comments, clickbait. Chase, you're the worst. You're stirring up drama. Deebo spoke with his agent and admitted it was a thing and it was real. So earlier this week, I was right about the Christian McCaffrey extension. Now I'm right about this. It's a bad week for the haters of Chase Sr. And it's not the final time that we are going to hear about a possible Deebo Samuel trade this offseason or next offseason. And let me explain why. It all comes down to financials. This is an increasingly expensive roster. They still have to take care of their quarterback, Brock Purdy, next year, who could demand $40 to $50 million. And the Niners receiver room, it's one of the deepest, if not the deepest in the NFL. And what did they do in the draft? They drafted Ricky Pearsall in round 1, and then later, Jacob Cowing. A trade post June 1 this year, the Niners would have to eat $6.5 million. They would save $22 million on the cap. And then they get rid of that contract in the future as well. If they were to trade him post June 1 next offseason, that is something to look out for. $6.5 million is the dead cap charge, and then $17.5 million is the savings. $4.5 million less as compared to if they traded him this offseason or in the lead up to the 2024 campaign. Speaking of Deebo, I want you to fill in the blank down in the comment section here. Deebo Samuel is a top blank wide receiver in the NFL. Top 10, top 15, top 20. He's definitely one of the best weapons in the National Football League. Coming up next here on the show, more trade rumors from NFL insider and Niners insider Mike Silver, who said an Aiyuk or Deebo trade could still happen. Some fascinating stuff on that front, in addition to my thoughts coming up here in just a few moments. Make sure you sign up with Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game and the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America. They make daily fantasy so easy to play, where all you have to do is pick 2 or more players. You choose more or less on their projected stat lines for a season or a game, and you can win up to 25 times your money. With Prize Picks, You could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. All you need is to pick more or less on 226 player stat projections, and you're locked in. Our future picks here on the show: Christian McCaffrey, more for the season than 1,150.5 rushing yards. It's a lot less than what he had a year ago. Michael Pittman, he got paid. Because of that, I think he gets targeted a lot. More than 1,050.5 receiving yards. And then Derrick Henry, more than 10.5 rushing touchdowns. Win big money. Withdraw your winnings within the PrizePicks app. Pick more. Pick less. Pick PrizePicks today at prizepicks.com/CLNS. As for the latest Niners trade rumors from Mike Silver, and this came after San Francisco gave Christian McCaffrey that contract extension. Let's dive into it here. Very short version of where things stand with the Niners and their receivers. Number one, they drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. He is a big part of the present. He is a big part of the future. To me, Ricky Pearsall, even as a rookie, in Kyle Shanahan's complex offense, can have 500-plus yards and 5 to 8 touchdowns in his first year. He is a seasoned and refined route runner who can really win out of the slot against zone, against man. You think about some of the strengths of Brock Purdy's game. It's really commanding the middle area of the field in between the hashes and in between the numbers. That's where Pearsall lives. And he's going to naturally be open a lot when he's playing alongside the weapons on this team. More from Mike Silver. Point number 2. If Aiyuk ends up taking the Niners' best offer, Deebo will be gone after 2024. So Mike Silver saying definitively that Deebo Samuel will be gone after this year, which is also why I pointed to the fact that this could be the last dance for the Niners, considering that things are getting a little bit more pricier. Now, going back to that Deebo contract, again, if they were to trade him this offseason, they eat $6.5 million. They save $22 million. Next offseason, which is what Mike Silver is predicting, you eat the 6.5, and then you save 17.5. I will say this, that after the McCaffrey deal, the Niners right now have $32 million in cap space. It's possible to keep everybody. It's possible to pay 2 wide receivers $25+ million. The Eagles are doing that right now with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Now, Philadelphia has been very financially savvy and creative with how they put together contracts elsewhere, but the Niners have been able to do that as well. So it's possible to keep everybody and pay Purdy, but the Purdy contract is looming. And if you do pay Purdy, do you want to cut costs so that you can add to your roster elsewhere outside of wide receiver? Back to Silver, number 3. And he breaks these down, obviously, in scenarios. If Aiyuk does not take the Niners' best offer and presumably plays on the 5th-year option instead of sitting out all year, it's Hunger Games between him and Deebo to see who stays beyond 2024. Hunger Games. That is just great journalistic vocabulary to add suspense and add drama. And Mike Silver, long accomplished in his career. He's won so many awards and has provided great NFL coverage, both on a team focus with the Niners, because right now he's with the San Francisco Chronicle, as well as league-wide as an NFL general reporter. Hunger Games. So it could turn from a great partnership between Aiyuk and Deebo, who are very close, into things becoming dark. And can you imagine embarking on a Hunger Games type of stretch against Deebo Samuel, one of the more physical, feared offensive players in the National Football League, with that visor on, a player who can rough you up physically, run over you, run through you, and take it to the crib. Hunger Games against Deebo, something I would want to avoid. At number 4, Mike Silver saying there's still a chance Aiyuk or Deebo could be traded between now and the November deadline if the offer is good enough and or if things have devolved with Aiyuk. Clearly, number 4 is very circumstantial based. But look, the 49ers have been very active at the trade deadline. Under this regime of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they traded for Emmanuel Sanders at the deadline in 2019. After that, Jordan Willis. After that, Charles Omenihu. After that, Christian McCaffrey. And then last year at the deadline for Chase Young. That's acquiring players. Could they deal a player going into the November trade deadline? Going to be interesting. Again, my prediction all along, this could be the last ride for this collection of core players on this Niners team. And then next offseason, they'll revisit where they are from a cap perspective. And again, the Purdy contract is certainly looming. Will Deebo and Aiyuk be on the roster in 2025 together? On for yes, off for Hunger Games. Join the conversation. Thanks for watching the show. And don't forget to hit that sub button.